Broadcasting live from the True Crime Today studios to the world. This is Murder in the Morning with Tony Bruschi and Stacey Cole.
From the Hit Killers podcast, Murder in the Morning.
Oh, my goodness. Our friends over at the Return to Nature Funeral Home in Penrose, Colorado have pled guilty to federal wire fraud charges related to their alleged misuse of pandemic relief funds and customer payments.
Wait till you hear what they spent some of the money on.
Okay.
Oh my God. You're gonna I think you're either gonna laugh or cry or both, because it's just these guys were living the high life while people's loved ones were literally decomposing like in their back room.
If you're new to this story, this is the funeral home in Colorado where over 190 decomposing bodies were found just stored on shelves all over the place in this building. And it was just a insane hazard. It took neighbors complaining about the smell for something to be done about it. They literally got like old Kmart shelves and put them inside of their building and piled bodies onto them. Literally. I'm very interested to hear what they did. They're accused of spending nearly $900,000 in relief funds on personal luxuries, including vehicles, designer items, and vacations, while leaving over 190 bodies decomposing in their facility, according to court documents. The facility, located about an hour south of Denver, became the focus of the federal investigation after the bodies were discovered in conditions that horrified families and state officials alike. There really weren't a whole lot of funeral home laws in Colorado before this.
So in some regard, this was, I'm not going to say a good thing, but some good change came because of this horrible story.
Yeah. It's like one of those where it's like, nah, nobody would ever do that. We don't need a law in place for the whoops. You probably do. Jon and Carie Hallford, the owners of Return to Nature Funeral Home, pled guilty to one count each of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Prosecutors, per the plea agreement, are limited to requesting no more than a 15-year prison sentence, though the agreement awaits final approval by a judge. Assistant U.S. Attorney Tim Neff stated that the plea deal encompasses both the Hallfords' acknowledgment of COVID-19 relief fund and additional fraud perpetrated against their customers. According to the court filings, the Hallfords diverted funds intended for business expenses during the pandemic towards their lavish lifestyle, purchases reportedly including a GMC Yukon and an Infiniti worth over $120,000 collectively, cryptocurrency investments of $31,000, body sculpting services, trips to California, Florida, and Las Vegas, and luxury items from brands like Gucci and Tiffany and Company. The funds were supposed to support struggling businesses during the pandemic, not to fuel extravagant personal spending, noted Assistant U.S. Attorney Tim Neff, highlighting the gravity of the Hallfords' actions. The grim conditions discovered at Return to Nature Funeral Home extended beyond financial misconduct. An investigation following last year's discovery, this is where it gets sick, revealed bodies stacked haphazardly, some reportedly in place since 2019. Yeah.
Oh.
In some instances, the wrong bodies were buried, and the remains provided to grieving families often included fake ashes made of dry concrete. You get a little quickcrete while your loved one's body rotted away in that building. The Associated Press reported that the Hallfords fabricated cremation records, leaving families devastated upon learning that their loved ones had never been properly handled. Christina Page, a mother whose son's body was left decomposing in the Hallfords facility, expressed her anguish during the court hearing, stating, "My son was one of those victims. He lost 60% of his body weight." She painfully recounted the conditions she believed he endured, saying, "Rats and maggots ate his face." Page expressed her frustration with the limited plea deal, but acknowledged it was as close to justice as she was going to get. The federal indictment added to an extensive list of charges already pending against the Hallfords in Colorado State Court, where they face more than 200 counts related to corpse abuse and forgery. Meanwhile, Jon Hallford's defense is being handled by the Federal Public Defender's Office. which has not commented on the case. Attempts to reach Carie Hallford's legal team have also been unsuccessful, and her attorney in state proceedings, Michael Stanewski, declined to provide further comments on the case.
This is one of these stories I don't have any words. I just, I think I said it one of the very first times that we talked about this story. I can understand being exhausted, being tired, you're overwhelmed. It's COVID. There's bodies everywhere. I don't know how we're going to get through all this work, but I feel like that wasn't their intent. It wasn't that they were overwhelmed. It was, fuck it.
Yeah. Take the money and run.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people did during COVID. There's like it's like a ridiculous figure that of the fraud that took place. It's like 70% of the money was used fraudulently or something. And I'm over here like, I guess I could have applied for it being a small business. I didn't because I didn't need it. I'm like, I'm good. I'm going to let people who actually need it, apply for it. But I could have legally applied for it, got it, used it for the company, never, and not been breaking any laws. Didn't even think to do that though. Because I'm just like, well, it's a tough time. We're making enough. We're good. But yeah, a lot of people didn't exactly think that way.
It's really sad. I mean, some of these people who really abuse the system, they are going to have to pay the piper, and they're being found out. The companies that they didn't need help. Maybe they run things virtually and they weren't affected by it at all. They're going to find you. I mean, if you had done that, yes, some of it you're entitled to, but if you had just kept applying.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, people just milked the shit out of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what, I think it was per employee or something. I don't know. But it was people found ways of really cashing in. And I mean, the reality is, yes, some are going to get in trouble. You're playing the odds there. I would never play these odds because I would never want to face charges. But a lot of people play these odds, and there's a lot of people that are just walking away with money because they're not going to get to everybody. It'd be physically impossible to. There was such rampant fraud during this time. They don't have enough agents to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, they really don't. And it's just really unfortunate because there were companies that desperately needed the help. Restaurants, like dental offices, that kind of thing, where people were afraid to go into them. They didn't go to them.
Yeah.
Restaurants were closed down. People in the beauty industry could not operate for months.
Yeah.
Almost a year. I mean, yeah, you're devastated. If you're a hairdresser, you are fucked.
Yeah.
You're the one who needed help. A funeral home? Help me sort through this. There are people dying. Their business was booming, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
They didn't need the help.
No, they really didn't. But those are some of the latest charges they're facing, amongst many others. So I think at the end of the day, they'll get a nice, harsh penalty from many different directions. It's just going to be if it's faced concurrently or consecutively in terms of how long they'll be away. I'm hoping it goes for a long time.
You're in the thick of a true crime saga, every detail sinking in, and then, wham, a commercial about something you couldn't care less about. It's like being served a microwaved dinner at a 5-star restaurant. But it doesn't have to be this way. Go for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. With True Crime Today Premium Plus, you get uninterrupted, ad-free episodes, extended interviews that dig even deeper into the muck, and early access so you can brag to your friends. It's like ordering the secret menu at a crime buffet. So, search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and savor every twisted detail without interruption.